to work on discipline and like mental discipline and just like the grit and stuff, like you have to dig deep. You got to look in the mirror and you got to realize that this is what you're going to do to change it. Like I can't do that for you. No one can.
Hello and welcome to the Working From Home podcast with your host, me, Nelson Jordan. Today I have Max Cathcart, who is a fitness and nutrition expert who coaches entrepreneurs online to live a better, healthier life. So very much in tune with what we're trying to achieve for people on the podcast here. Max, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see where these next couple questions go to.
No. It's my pleasure. It really is. So I wondered if you could start by kind of letting our audience know a little bit about your background and how you kind of found the world of fitness.
So I guess you would say I started playing hockey at a very young age. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where it all started. So about that 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm. And just because we have an international audience and hockey means different things in different parts of the world, is that ice hockey or field hockey?
Ice hockey. Yeah, so this is ice hockey, yeah. So I started really working out with the teams then. So that's kind of how I got introduced to working out. We would do the dryland sessions, off ice sessions. We'd have some stuff on ice too. And then that's when it kind of leveled up to when I started playing when I was 18, 19. And I really started to like the working out part more than playing the hockey part. And that's kind of where I started to go away from the hockey aspect, and then really focusing on the training part. And I think my coaches were even like, hey, like this guy's taking it really serious. But no, I was just liking working out more than playing hockey itself. So that's kind of how it started to go. And then that's also that 18-year-old mark is when I really started to focus on the nutrition part too. So I was working at a supplement store when I was like 16 to 19, I think it was. Or 18, and that's kind of where it went. So it started with taking supplements, and then it was okay, like I want to learn more about the nutrition aspect of it, and that's kind of where it went. And I mean, it's been up and down since then until 26, and that's where it is now. So
sure. So from was there a time that you stopped hockey completely just to focus on the fitness side?
Yes. So that was 20 years old. I stopped then because I was trying to work full time and then school. And then, yeah, obviously I had hockey too. And I was like, I can't do these. Like I need to make money. So this isn't going to work. So school and work, ditch the hockey. I'm not going to NHL. So
no worries. And when did you kind of decide that you wanted to plunge kind of full time into fitness and nutrition, and for that to be not just kind of a hobby for you, but also what you did for work?
Yeah, so that would have been, I started training people when I was about 20 years old. I've done it for quite a while myself. I had a good grasp on how it kind of worked. I was a couple years into it as well. And then I would just take family members or people who were close to me to start with, and it never costed anything, but that's kind of how it started. And then it was about 20, 22, 23 is when I kind of jumped into it. And I was kind of balancing the half and half here. And then from there, it's been like that. So
cool.
Yeah, so it was like 23 mark. I was like, I'm ready to do this. So
ready to do it properly, full time.
Yeah,
nice.
Full time.
So with your kind of training, I suppose, when I come across trainers in the online world, they tend to have kind of a specific philosophy. And just to give you an example of what I might mean here, you have coaches that really focus on kind of the high intensity workouts, the HIIT workouts. You have coaches that are more kind of full body stuff. So I'm thinking of like the CrossFit guys and stuff like that. Where do you kind of see yourself fitting in?
I would say just physique and bodybuilding is kind of what mine would go to. I'm not really, like, for me personally, like how I train and stuff, it's strictly like it's a bodybuilding style. It's not I'm not looking to get a crazy amount of strength. I'm not looking to be like the CrossFit king. Like I just want to develop like the physique that I want and work on those areas that I need to. As far as like clients go, I mean, that's going to range to whatever they want to do. Right. So for me, it's just developing and working on areas that I need to develop. And eventually you get that symmetrical or whatever look you want. Right. So that's always how it's kind of been. I mean, in the start, it was more like for performance, but now it's just to maintain and build something that I've always wanted. So.
Cool. So who are the people that kind of got you first introduced, like really interested in that bodybuilding style?
The one I wasn't looking for to be really big or like massive, like a Ronnie Coleman. They'll have to search that up for you, but no really big guys. It was more like the what am I saying here? It was more just the very athletic. They were smaller, like muscle wise. They were quite a bit smaller, but they were just like really shredded, like really ripped. And that's kind of what I wanted to go with. But yeah, there's a lot of them out there. It's almost too many. It was more of just like that magazine fitness style. Like that's what I was going for. I was like, that's what I want. I don't want to be too big.
That kind of look really good at the beach sort of thing, rather than kind of just in these huge bodybuilding gyms. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So with what you're doing now, I'm really, really interested. Obviously, you're coaching people online in quite like a holistic way. So I'm really, really interested in this from a personal perspective, because I think people in my position who are freelancers, who are people working from home, they might be online business owners. Like, number one, we sit on our own most of the time in our houses all the time without like the best posture, with like snacks and junk food to hand. There are days that I just don't leave the house, and a lot of the times those days are quite consecutive. So how do you kind of, I guess, motivate your clients who are in a similar position to focus on their fitness, to focus on their nutrition?
I would say that this one even is like most related to me. So trying to figure out how I was going, because most of my clients, they're busy. Like they're driving around all day and they're in meetings all day. Like none of them are really like kind of like what I do, which is fine. But this is probably the best one I could answer to, because this is mine. Like this was my life. And I was trying to figure out how can I like keep productivity up, keep my like sanity, I guess you would say, because like I lived by myself, I worked by myself, I trained by myself. Like it was everything else just by myself. And it was the same as you. Like I wouldn't leave for a couple of days. If I had everything I needed, it wouldn't, whatever. But I think it's coming up with a solid routine, both morning, middle of the day, and nighttime, where you have it all, again, planned out, set up, where you can like leave the house. You're going to train here. You're going to train again here. Like it was I just had it very set up to, I was moving a lot. I didn't sit for too long at a time. Like the maximum would be like 3-4 hours. And then I was out doing something, or I was just doing a different task in the house. Like if it's all work, I mean, you're going to lose your mind. But if you can break it up into little things, that's the best thing you can do. And definitely don't, if you get in that spot where you're just wasting time almost, where you're not getting anything done, but you want to, it's just like, that's okay. Pack your stuff, do something else, and move on. So that's a huge one for sure.
And how important is planning in that process?
I think planning for me is everything, breaking it down into even just like the time blocking to like the exact times where you're going to stop, the exact times where you're going to start. I just take it to that level because I find it satisfying, and I think it's efficient, and I like having everything down to exactly what I want it to be. Because I know that once that happens, like I'm excited to start the new thing. Okay, that's done. Let's start the new thing. And it keeps it's not just one thing all day. You have one task and it's like write a book. Like, I mean, I can't do that. So you got to break it up, right?
Sure.
Break them all up you can circle back to them in a couple hours if you want, because then it just keeps it fresh, and it's not just because you're just productivity or just like the quality of that work starts to go down. And I noticed that in myself. So I have to break everything up into little chunks and kind of maybe even rebalance to it later.
Mm-hmm. And when you're speaking to clients, what kind of emphasis do you put on the fitness part versus the nutrition part?
I mean, they're both they're hand in hand. I mean, you want to be doing both of them. Are you kind of asking like which one would I want to start with, or which one do I push more?
Wow. Which question do you want to answer?
Well, it doesn't, they're both really good. I mean, I would probably push the nutrition first. That's always going to be the biggest game changer. I mean, that changes everything, right? I mean, like if you look at someone going to the gym who doesn't do anything for their diet or their nutrition, I mean, they're probably going to stay the same thing. If you're eating too much, trying to lose weight, you're going to stay the same. Like you're not going to lose your weight. Nutrition in that aspect, yeah, I mean, that's what we're going to do to get to that goal. But obviously working out is good for your health too. So I'm not going to say don't do that. I'm saying maybe just if you can focus on this first and maybe get that down before we even start going there, then that's awesome. But a lot of people become more consistent within the gym first before the nutrition. Why? Because it's apparently easier, which I mean, physically, no, mentally, and just the discipline aspect, yes. That's the part where people really struggle.
So I don't want to put you in the spot here because I know just how vast a subject nutrition is, but other than kind of understanding the calories that you're taking in versus what you're burning, what are kind of the most important things somebody like me could concentrate to learn more about nutrition?
And so you want to, I mean, there's endless information. You just want to make sure it's either from recommended sources and just a lot of studies. I mean, in my spare time, I know I look at a lot of different case studies, and I could look at 10 that are on the exact same topic, and I'll read them all. And some are saying the complete opposite, and some are pretty close. But there's little topics within those, right? And that's where you can kind of grab those ones out, and they're generally the same. Then you're like, okay, that's pretty good, because nothing's going to be like, hey, this is exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to almost do it yourself, especially in like a niche that you want to go in, right? Because they're not going to, like, they'll teach you your basic all around in school, but then if you want to go specific into this, like, you're the only person that's going to do that, in my opinion, anyway. So I mean, that's just been a lot of studying it like that, but breaking down into just ingredients, and then also the micros, the macros, like figuring out what they provide for your body. I mean, yeah, there's the calories, and you burn this much and that much, but I mean, you can take in the same amount of calories and hit a plateau, and then you can just switch the ingredients and you'll start losing again, but you'll stay at the same calories. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do, and same with, you can stay at the same and start carb cycling, and then you might break through it too. So as far as learning it, I mean, you just got to figure out which way you want to go, and then go from there. But
so is that kind of starting with your personal goal and working backwards, whether you want to lose weight or put on muscle, but you'd have two different diets, or similar diets but two different volumes of food?
Yeah, I remember we talked about this before. Yeah, so it doesn't matter my goal if I'm gaining or losing. My food will probably be the same. The only thing is going to be the amounts that I consume. That is as straight as it gets.
Cool. So there's not too much difference in terms of your ratios of fat to protein to carbs or anything like that. It's more just about the volume, depending on your goals at the time.
That's a good one. It is about, the main thing you want to look at is the volume of your overall calories. That's going to be like rule number one. And then two, which it can help you progress that even further, or just how you feel, is going to be, your ratio, which is, are you going to have higher carbs or higher fats, or protein generally stays the same, but just between those two is kind of what you'll mess around with.
So how would somebody like me, or in my position, I've got a lot better at this recently, but I've obviously spent a lot of my life sat at the computer, which isn't the best. It's probably the understatement of the year there. But How would I even go about finding how many calories I'm supposed to be having to kind of just maintain my weight? Where would I find that information?
Yeah, so you can just put it in to Google, type in like macro calorie calculator, and you can just go right there and just put in your information, and it'll shoot out some stuff. If you want, you can really go into it and do the calculations yourself, and it will show you how to do that in there too. So RMR, your BMR, figure those out. There's a formula that you put in for activity as well, and then it'll kind of spit out a number, and you'll have to keep going from there. They're usually pretty good, but yeah, it's hard to say because some are really good and some are just like so off. That's why it's a little bit hard. But I mean, if you ask some people, like any coach, they'll probably just send something to you. It's pretty easy for us to do that. It's not so much, yeah, just like here's your calories for our coaching, right? It's a day-to-day and contact stuff is what it is. We're not worried about if you can get that free or not. Yeah. So that's one thing. It's really easy. Just you can type it in macro calorie calculator and it'll shoot it out for you. For maintenance wise, make sure you put either maintenance, lose weight or gain weight, and then I put maintenance, and then I'll subtract 300 to 500 calories if I'm losing weight, just because I don't want that formula to like mess it up or drop too low, right? Because it's like I want to drop this percentage. It's like, well, no, I only want to drop this percentage actually, right? They'll make up their own.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what's your, I'm really interested to hear now, like about your actual process when a client comes to you from the first time, like they've not done any sessions with you. You've not had any kind of like discovery calls or anything like that. They've kind of just approached you and said, Max, here I am.
Yeah, here I am, ready to go. It's pretty simple. So the first step is we have a call. It'll be a Zoom call like this. And we'll really go into what they're looking to do, what they've done in the past, any health complications or anything else that we might run into, their overall habits, kind of what's good, what's bad. We break those down. And then we kind of just go into like a health questionnaire type thing. And we really dive deep into personal stuff. And from there, after that, we get on another call and we'll start thinking of kind of a process of which way they want to go, right? So how, like, what have they tried for diets in the past? Like what worked, what didn't? Like which way do you want to go? Which way do you want to try? Do you want, you know what I mean? Like I want to make sure that they want to do those certain things as well. I'm not just telling them, hey, like this is what we're doing. I want them to be in it as well and not hate it, right? We want to enjoy it and turn it into a lifestyle. That's the whole goal. So that's the biggest thing, is just finding how are we going to turn this into a lifestyle.
And what typically the objections or the problems that you see that are quite common to people that come up frequently?
It's going to be just finding the time. And that's why first thing we do is the scheduling. So finding the time, or it could be just not knowing. That's a big one. It's just not knowing what to eat and stuff. So that's something that we put out right away as well, is focusing on just different food groups, like how to build proper meals, like how to build a balanced one, like and then how to somewhat track it to a degree. That one's a little bit later, but right now we just focus on the scheduling in the first couple of weeks and the overall just eating better food. That's what we really focus on: water intake, your sleep. And then we start to get into tracking wise where we start moving results. But we have to get those foundation things down first, or else we're not moving anywhere.
No, that makes a ton of sense, obviously. With the schedule then, are people generally able to stick to that, or are the times that people fall off? It's up and down. We usually don't go too overly aggressive with it. I mean, it's not going to look like mine, not down to the minute and drive time and stuff like that. It's usually down to, we usually break it to 5 main things that they want to do that day. They don't have to be big. We just want them to be productive and move them towards their goal. It could be a phone call. Like for me, if I write mine down, it could be just one phone call or one email, right? Or make your bed in the morning. Like we want to start with
simple things first. I mean, I would target them more to moving them towards their goal, like their fitness goal and stuff. So it would be like, hey, today we're just going to go grocery shopping, right? Tomorrow on your list, it's going to be, you're going to cook that stuff, or, so we'll start with things like that. I mean, those are a little bit bigger. But that's kind of how we started out with, is like, hey, like these are the days that we want to start the cooking or the food prep, or your workouts are on these days. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be daily stuff. Like as long as we're scheduling and like writing a few things down for that week, I mean, that's something, right? So it's all about how far ahead they are already, and kind of what I think that they're going to need and how much they're going to need of that to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so with the breakdown, I love that kind of just doing one goal, for example, per day, or whatever that might look like, just to kind of get people in the swing of things. And so you do one thing, you start feeling good about yourself, and you start feeling like you're capable of doing maybe 2 things tomorrow and stuff, as opposed to here's the 10 things that you've got to do on your first day, and you don't you get maybe 7 of them done, you feel stressed and you feel like a failure for not accomplishing the remaining 3, for example. So exactly. Do you break those down by certain time limits? Do you have like daily or weekly goals, or is it kind of just they all add up?
It's kind of, this is what we want to do daily in order to hit this goal by the end of the week, which would be the consistency part, or it's like a certain weight goal, or they want to, like their energy, we could be focusing on that for the week, right? Or trying to break through plateau. So whatever it is, it's going to be it's probably going to be daily, right? Like we have like the end, like the 3-month goal, like we have those written down. It's like, I want to feel better. I want to lose weight. I want to have more energy. Like that's our end goal. Then we break those down into like a monthly goal. It's like, okay, so this month we want to get down to this much, or we want to improve in just this area for now, or we want to improve just that area. So we just sleep. Then we break that down into like the weekly thing. It's like, okay, this week we want to make sure that we get these things done in order to get this one. So we want to hit like 1 pound, or we want to really focus on sleep schedule, see how we feel next week. So it all depends on what the person's looking to do. And that's kind of how we break it down. But the daily things is where it's all going to happen for sure. So the more we can put in to the daily one, is you're going to get more results on the way out for sure. That's why we don't start with 10 things. It's kind of, you just, hey, like these are the 3 things that we want to do. So example would be, okay, for you, I want you making sure you're hitting your calories. You want to build muscle, so you're hitting your calories. We're focusing on that, tracking in some sort of way. You're staying hydrated. I want you to hit 3 to 4 liters of water a day, starting with that. And then make sure you have at least 3 workouts planned this week. And then you have those written down. And that's it.
Wow. Cool. Well, if I was doing 3 or 4 liters a day of water, then my sitting down problem would be solved, because I'd be up and down to the toilet every 20 minutes. That's one thing.
You get used to it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Well, I'm just curious to find out if people have kind of the similar things that myself and my friends and people that I know in the industry, in terms of problems. Like when I used to travel a lot, so my wife and I lived in Valencia in Spain for a few years while I was still working for a company in the UK. One of the things that really kind of, I suppose, knocked me out of whack a little bit was the traveling. So getting on an airplane and basically not preparing, and just having whatever food was available at the airport. And quite a lot of the time I was going via like a few different countries to get to the UK. So I might be flying from Spain into like Germany or Italy or Ireland to go back to the UK. So it would be like a whole day event. I'd just be eating whatever I could find. And so that was like a big thing for me. Yeah.
It definitely depends on how much you're doing. That is really going to change as well. But there's almost like you can really prepare for it. You can see what airports you're going to. You can see what restaurants they have, or what food they have in those. I mean, I would break it down into is how strict do you want to be though? Like that's what people don't like realize. It's kind of just like, well, how strict do you want it? Like, are you trying to be a pro bodybuilder or pro physique? Like, that's not our goal here, but I don't want you to stress so much about like not eating food because it's a gas station sandwich rather than just not eating anything at all. I mean, obviously that's not our first choice, but when we get into a bind, like we kind of have to make something happen. So, I mean, I wouldn't stress about it. I think the biggest thing is like people will do that, but then they'll either feel guilty, do it even worse, or just like try to backpedal so hard and just mess everything up or just fall off the wagon completely because they think they can't do it. So that mindset's kind of where it gets a little sticky. But as far as preparing wise, I mean, there's a few things like for your day. I mean, you'd have to pack a bunch of like either like little bars you can have or like sandwiches that you've made that you're allowed to bring. Like stuff like that is what I would probably do. I've seen that a lot. People bring like these Kodiak like pancakes and stuff like on airplanes, or they're bringing like special waffles or sandwiches or just meat in a bag. Like I've seen it all. I've literally seen people bring like chicken and rice in a plastic bag and bring it on the plane. And I'm like, that is weird. But those people are going to probably fly into their show. So yeah. It's just how far you want to take it. Like for me, absolutely not. Like I'm going to sit down here at the restaurant in the airport and eat food. Like I'm not looking to, right? Like I know I can just get back to it on Monday. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned falling off the wagon there, which is something like everybody on earth has done, whether it's with your diet or nutrition. You've wanted to lose a little bit of weight. And then for me, like alcohol has always been the big thing. Not necessarily because I don't tend to drink very much when I do drink. I just tend to drink quite regularly. So like I'll have a beer or two most nights. Like I've kind of curbed that recently. I haven't been drinking for the last couple of weeks at all, but that used to be it, particularly like in Spain. It's very much like an outdoor lifestyle. It's kind of just the expectation that you'll be out almost every night because it's hot, it's sunny outside, and that's just kind of the expectation. But what happens when you have kind of set your mind to something, to a goal, and then you're, 9 days in and somebody comes round with like a chocolate cake, or somebody invites you to a meal and you maybe indulge in a couple too many wines?
This is tough because there's no way to really like teach this. You have to develop this from yourself. So to work on discipline and like mental discipline and just like the grit and stuff, like you have to dig deep. You got to look in the mirror and you got to realize that this is what you're going to do to change it. Like I can't do that for you. No one can. So to start doing it, you have to start doing stuff that you don't like. And that's going to be setting a goal for maybe 15 or 20 days. Like, hey, no liquor for 30 days, diet only, like whatever it is. And you know what? I'm okay with going 0 to 100 like that with some people because they need to develop that mental discipline. But I mean, I don't push that on my clients at all. Because I think when it comes to, if it's for too long, number one, and if it's too hard, then it can just reverse it. Like it just won't, nothing good will come from it. But I mean, if you're really trying to fast track it, I would start with doing like those small things that you don't like, and you have to consistently do those things because how else are you going to get there if you don't like if you want to get there, but you don't like doing the things you need to do to get there, then it's really tough to teach. That's something you kind of have to do on your own, but we can set you up with a plan in order to do that. And I mean, that's where I think the workload thing comes in again. Not putting too much on their plate and making sure it's very achievable. And you can also get those results. Like there's nothing wrong with that either. But like like even for me, if I want to do something crazy, I'm writing myself like almost like a contract. And I've done that before. Like money wise, like to charity, like I'll write $1,000 to charity if I don't complete this in the next 30 days because I've wanted it so bad, but I know that this is one of the only things that's going to make me do it. Like I've done that in my early days for sure. So it's, as you got to look at, I mean, you really just look in the mirror and you really, cause no one's going to lie to you. Right. So it's you and you. So you figure out and once you can accept like, hey, I need to do this to change and and I'm really going to do this. I mean, that's where you kind of get the drive going. But the big thing is once you do that and you realize you're 5, 6, 7 days in and you're doing really well, the momentum, like you don't want to stop now. Like you can feel it. You feel amazing. Like you're completing those things. Like you're success, like you're hitting success right now, and you want to taste more, and you keep going and keep going, and it just keeps building. So that's pretty much all I have to say for that one. That's a tough one.
So Max, a lot of what you're talking about seems like it's linked to habits and consistency. Other than kind of building up one by one, have you got any kind of top tips to help us be more consistent, to put those habits in place? I love kind of the idea of your contract, by the way.
Are you kind of more or less talking about like speeding it up? Like if you want to crush more in a smaller amount of time, is that kind of it?
No, actually more kind of less about speed. Less about speed of change and more about like sticking to it.
It's like soaking it up and really following through with it.
Yeah. Because I've always kind of subscribed to kind of the advice. I'm probably not going to word it very well, but it's essentially that it's better to be able to do something, but not as aggressive, but be able to stick to it for a longer period. And actually, when I talk about it, I learned that in finance. I learned it about compound interest. So it's better to find something, kind of an investment strategy that you're able to stick to for the longer term, even if it guarantees smaller returns than you're likely to get other places. But because of compound interest, it's better to be able to do it for 30, 40 years rather than something that works really, really well until there's a recession and you feel like you have to take all of your money out and interrupt that compound interest. So I learned it through finance, basically, but I think the same applies to many things in life.
No, I 100% agree. I think that's where we kind of circle back to the workload, and even finding out what you want to do. That's a big thing is what strategy do you want to go about that's going to carry you for a lifetime, that you can consistently do for the rest of your life. Because we know that diets end. I mean, there's going to be times where you want to cut a little bit faster or like a little bit harder, where you're going to have to do a little bit more strict situation. But for the most part, I mean, it's just going to be finding your lifestyle. And that's where we really sit down with the client and figure out what way do you want to go. And we develop kind of a strategy and a plan of how to go about that day about that plan that is sustainable. So that's all it is finding out how to go about that way. And I mean, it's super hard to narrow it down to like a specific person, but because they're all very different. But I mean, you just have to figure out what plan you want to go about. I wouldn't even say plan, but what route, and then really dive into how can you make that a lifestyle? And that's where I kind of come in and be like, hey, like this is what we're going to do. This is what we start kind of focusing on. Like, how do you feel about that? And then we kind of move forward from there. But I think, again, circle back to the workload thing. That's really important too, is not making sure that there's too much you have to do. Like I remember being younger too with some of the photo shoots I had to do, and the amount of consistent daily like food intake, supplements, like everything. I mean, it was a lot, and I couldn't wait for the day I was done. Like I was like, this day I'm done, like I'm done. And I'm not doing it for like 2 years. And I don't want that to happen to anyone either. Like I want you to enjoy it and love it. So as soon as it becomes too much, like even for me, then I will stop. And that's where it gets bad. So you have to like either dial it back or just find another way to make it happen, kind of thing. But like I said before, it's sometimes you need to go a little bit further to get those specific results. But again, it's how bad do you want those results? I mean, there's always going to be a sacrifice for something, right? And difficulty, or else everyone will do it.
Sure. And I wondered if there's any characteristics or traits that you see in common with your most successful clients?
Especially in the business aspect. I mean, they're pretty, like, I like it because they're already pretty organized. They're successful people. Like they really want it. Like I can see the hunger when we initially get on the call, like they're ready to go. Like that's what I love is that I really choose like my clients wisely. I want to make sure that they're going to get the best results with me, that we're going to be able to work together really well. And that's how you make sure that kind of happens. But the main thing is like, I can tell their drive on the phone. I can tell that they're excited. Like they're ready to just get it going. And it's great because they do take those little things serious. And I mean, I have a guy that I've been working with for a month right now. And yeah, he's a crazy, crazy hustler. But he works a ton. He's up at 4, he's working out at 5, like this guy. But he says like, hey, 6 o'clock comes around, it's family time. Like that's it. Right. So we got to make everything work before that. But yeah, even for him, I gave him a few things to start with. Like it was very small and he's doing amazing now. I think he's down like 5 or 6 already in the first month, and it was like, this isn't even anything crazy. Like this is just switching up some food, healthier choices. He was eating out a lot. So now he's eating mainly from like his home cooked meals that taste really good. I mean, he has them ready, available. Like this is the stuff that we wanted, right? As soon as you can incorporate that, I think he's only working out 3 times a week too. So it's just, as soon as you can incorporate that, he's finding a routine. He feels amazing. And he's like, man, I'm never stopping this now. Cause he's like, once, like if I'm successful entrepreneur, he's like, man, if I'm also like really like fitness wise, like a successful fit entrepreneur, he's like, I'm going to kill everything. And I was like, I 100% agree. That's where it all happens. So he's doing amazing like that. And I mean, that's just like, we have maybe five tasks that we started with, and that was it. So it just, you got to pick the ones that are right. Mm-hmm. And you can see great results really fast.
So it sounds like I think that kind of ambition and drive that got them to a successful place in business also helps when they kind of readjust their focus to health and fitness.
Yes, but again, it really depends on the person, and you can really tell, because I know it's a lot of successful people that wouldn't do this. They would, like, they don't care. And I mean, that's fine. Some people don't care about it. They don't want to improve their health, which is insane to me, but they just don't care about it. And I remember being young and I had to like accept that. I was like, well, not everyone wants to be like this, or not everyone wants to work in it. And I mean, you can't change that. That's what they think and that's what they feel. You can give them information, but some people just won't do it. That's it. So like I've had a few people I know like that too. I'll try to help them, but I wouldn't even bring them as a client because I know that they wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of it, right? That you can only do so much in terms of laying out what they should do. And that's kind of down to them as well to do it, obviously with your encouragement, but
yeah, of course. And that's where it all comes down to too, is just like me being beside them, being like, hey, like, let's go. Or what do we need help with? What do we need to change? Like they love that too. And like I get the text in the morning. He's like, loving the check-ins. This is what's happening right now. And he's like excited for like the next week, right? Like that's how I like it. That's who like I want to work with. I don't want someone who's like, oh, I kind of feel like changing. I kind of don't. It's just like, no, like let's get it done. Let's get it done faster. Like I don't want you to sit on this for 5 more years and be like, oh, I wish I started this 5 years ago. It's like, no, let's get it going here. But no, even for those other ones, like I said too, I think even like the money thing, I think would work for them, like the contract situation. I said that to them too. I was like, yeah, I think you need to write yourself a contract, write it to like charity or something. Like if you don't make it, like you're giving that up, because I know money means a lot to them.
No, exactly. Everyone has kind of their priorities there. I get the sense as well, and this is something that I talk with a lot of freelancers and online business owners, because it really helps with kind of overcoming procrastination, is this sense of accountability to someone. Like if you're working with a coach, then it's not just this thing that you can pretend that, oh, you tried, but it didn't really happen. There were like a list of tasks that you were supposed to complete, and then you're accountable to somebody to say yes or no, and why didn't you do them if you didn't?
Yeah, it's that one works really good, and it's like I like it I'm thinking it for me. because I've had multiple coaches too, not fitness coaches. We're talking about business coaches, but like, like they love how they can come in, they can see what they need to do. This is what they're doing for the week. Like, and then we talk about like, what did we do? Why didn't we get it done? And then we kind of figure out how to get that done next time, or like just back up the load so it's not too much. But like, even for me, I remember like I'm working lots too. And I mean, there's some things that I didn't get done that my business coach wanted me to specifically do this week. And there might've been like 5 things and I only did 2 of them. And then I knew like going in that call, like I didn't even want to do that call.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like I don't even want to do this call because he's going to rip me apart. But no, like you feel that. And then that pushes you even harder because like I messed up that week. Yeah. Like I had too much. I didn't schedule it right or this and that. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that changes and we can't like guarantee it. Right. So I remember there's a few like that where I was just like, oh, I don't even want to call this guy. He's going to kill me. But no, but that fires you up, right? Like that makes sure you're getting that stuff done. I mean, it works amazing for me. Everyone's going to slip. It doesn't matter who you are, but as long as you just get back on it, right? Like the following week, you kill it, right? And then you just keep going with that.
Yeah, it works really well.
I think the checking and accountability is huge.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I kind of recommend it for a lot of people. It doesn't work for everyone, like any of the tactics and kind of methods we've talked about. But I have a call every Tuesday at 9 o'clock with my accountant buddy, which we call each other. And all we do, it's like a half an hour call max. It's normally about 15, 20 minutes. All we do is map out the 3 things that we want to accomplish by next week. The only kind of stipulation is that it can't be about regular client work. So it can't be stuff that we will do for clients. It has to be stuff we're specifically doing for our business. Exactly. I think it works really well. And we also talk about what we did in the last week and what went well and what we messed up on and stuff.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. I do the exact same thing, except mine's not once a week. It's probably like every 3rd day. I'm like, oh, we just started talking. What are we doing this week? Yeah, but exact same thing. I'm like, I got to finish this week for but my stuff that moves me towards whatever it is. But it's the same thing. You got to have those people though. That's huge. As soon as you get away from everyone who just wants to talk about people of not good things. I mean, if you talk, like the only phone calls I make is to a few people and we're pushing each other in every direction. They're pushing me, I'm pushing them. We're coming up with ideas for them and their situation. Same for me. And that's it. That's all I want to talk about is that. I don't want to talk about anything else even. It's just, how is your day? How's your life? And how do we grow? That's it.
And how do you kind of go about forming that community? Because for people like us, kind of freelancers, online business owners, a lot of the time we are just working from home. Like I live in the middle of the English countryside. I just don't have those people around me in a physical way. Obviously, with the internet, it's been very, very useful. But how did you go about finding those people to push you?
I mean, I was lucky enough that I had these 2 specific ones I'm talking about since I've been very, very young. And I mean, probably 8, 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
And we all kind of grew up in that with the same kind of mindset. We're all pretty driven. We like doing really difficult stuff. And but no, I think I'm lucky that I had those 2, and those are pretty much, I mean, there's not many more that I have from those 2 that I talk to that often or trust that much with the advice that I get. And I definitely do everything to help them in any way. But I mean, trying to look for them, the social is going to help for sure. You can tell early on how they start talking for sure though. If it's more negative or positive stuff, or if it's like sitting down right away and they're trying to throw you ideas for whatever you're trying to accomplish. I mean, that's someone who's going to be pretty good already. You can feel, right? So, I mean, I would definitely pick it wisely. There's some you can kind of judge or be like, hey, like this person could be pretty good. And just because they're successful or they, whatever it is, right? And you're like, hey, they're going to push some good advice and they won't give you 2 cents. I mean, that's not someone you want to be around. You want to learn from people, right? And you want to be around people who want to help you as well. So they're pretty easy to pick out, but trying to find them, I don't have too much on that.
No.
Just I would say this, talk to as many people as you can. That's what I would do. Get to know people. You can tell right away if they're going to be like how they are, I guess you'd say.
So in terms of like how I found my accountability buddy, I think depending on the industry you're in, there are normally communities set up already. If you're in the rare situation where you're in an industry and there doesn't appear to be an online community set up, like go ahead and set up one yourself.
That's good.
It doesn't need to be some big official thing. It can be you and 2 or 3 other people that you schedule something in your diary, you meet up every week, or you use some sort of Google spreadsheet to keep track of your goals for the week, which is what we do. Like if you're a freelancer, depending on your industry, I'm a copywriter, so there's Right Minds, there's 10x FC, there's Copy Hackers, there's all of these things out there for different things. Like I'm setting up a community myself, or I will have already set one up by the time this episode comes out. That's going to be called the Working From Home Community. And that's specifically for freelancers. Sorry, anybody else who listens to this. I might get around to you guys one day. It's for freelancers because as a freelancer, you have to be involved in doing so much. And it's very, very hard to be an expert at all of them. You have to learn how to win clients. You have to learn how to manage those clients and do the work, how to do things like invoicing and accounting and how to market yourself. And at the same time, you don't have like naturally somebody, it's not like being in an office where you're stuck with something and you can just turn and ask somebody, hey, can you help me with this? We don't have that.
It gets that's the toughest one, is you got to figure out, try phoning people, you got to figure this stuff out. And usually I get so like mad that I can't do it, then I'm just gonna like go to like get it done. But no, you're every person in that business, so it's a lot. Like to get started, it's a lot.
What do you think is like the number one thing that somebody in my position can do to better their health? Say if they wanted to lose weight.
So just sitting, are you talking more or less just for your situation, like sitting at a computer? Like, is that kind of what we're going with?
Exactly.
To lose weight, I mean, it's going to be coming up with organized plan to just be like, hey, like these are the days that I want to work out. I would say dedicate yourself to 3. Make sure you're getting those done, whether you want to go home or at home workout or to the gym, that's fine. You can build and find whichever one you want to do. Maybe get a few things to help you out with that. But other than that, it would just be like, start transitioning into little things. So be like, hey, like I'm going to start cooking different or more healthy meals. I'm going to start with one. Like I'm not talking every day, 3 times a day for your first week. It's like, no, let's start doing 1 meal per day even, right? It's better than nothing.
So building that kind of habit from a very, very small base. So just trying to do it once and then trying to do it twice and then kind of going from there.
That's just building on it. Yeah, that's why, I mean, it really depends on the level that they're at. I mean, I have some that go right out of the gate that are doing 3 a day, and I got some where we're just starting to like learn the foods and cook 1 meal for that 1 day. And we're eating out the other 2, or like, I hope we're not, but that's kind of how it happens sometimes. Like that's what it is. I mean, as long as you're moving forward in any speed or in any direction, I mean, that's progress, right? And that's what we're looking for. Eventually we'll get there. It might take some more time, but that's what we're going for. You don't want to push too hard where they just resent the whole thing, and they're not gonna, that's not what we want. We don't want you to never do this. Like we want to make sure we can put you in the right direction to complete it and get to what you want.
I'd like to switch gears a little bit and just talk about you and what you're trying to go for in the next couple of years from like business goal sense.
Of course. I don't want to get like, I really want to work with with people one-on-one with myself. It's kind of, I wouldn't say I don't want to, but I would like to keep it relatively small community, maybe a few other people added on later. But I like to really do it myself. I'm not in it to get really massive. I really enjoy doing the one-on-one thing, taking the time. That's why I don't take that many clients as well, because I want to make sure that there's a lot of time set aside for us. That you can ask me whatever you want. There's everything like that. I don't want to get out of control and have too many people. I can't give you the right time. I want to make sure we have quality results. So that's number one. Number two is keep moving forward with that, keep learning, and just keep pushing on, trying to help as many people as I can effectively. And then also we have another company called Oak Club Manufacturer, and that is the manufacturer company for fitness equipment. We started that about a year ago. We launched it I think it was about January this year. And that one's doing really well too. I love it. It's very creative, interesting stuff. And I wanted to deliver high quality products to people who appreciate not only like the functionality of something, but also just like the artwork itself. I really like that too. And I do that one with my brother. He's more the creator, in his head, like the design guy. He likes adding on like the crazy details and stuff, but that's the other one I really enjoy doing too. So I kind of get the computer stuff, like the one-on-one with my clients, but then I also get to go in the shop and I get to do whatever metal work that we're doing that day that I really enjoy too, because that's what I've been doing from a younger age too, is hand, like all the tools, trucks, building stuff like that. So welding. So I like doing that as well. So I always wanted to keep something interesting for sure.
It's so nice to have like multiple creative avenues and not just be restricted to one thing. And I find that the other things that I do give me energy for my copywriting, for my marketing, and for the podcast, and vice versa. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I think that's a huge mental just ease and break. It's just like, hey, like I don't have to. You get two different things. They're both really different. But that's kind of for me how it keeps balancing. Like, well, how do you go like work at 6 to 5, and then you're in the shop from 5 to 12 at night? And I'm like, well, because like I love it, number one, and number two, that I like that they're both very different. So I can do that. Like, no, I can't sit on a computer from 6 a.m. to 12 at night. Like that's not going to happen. So the fact that they're completely different, I mean, I can do that, and I like it. So it's, as long as you can do that. But I think, the balance thing is huge too, making sure you're not burning out and all that. I mean, I think but that's what I mean is everyone's is different. Everyone's balance is different. So some people are like, oh, you're going to burn out. I mean, I can go 3-4 months, like gas to the floor. But as soon as I feel something that I'm like, hey, like something's getting weird here, like I'm taking one right now. It's just like, I'm going to go away for a weekend, and that's it. Mm-hmm. You just reset and then you get back on it.
Mm-hmm. It strikes me that you seem a lot more measured and balanced than a lot of kind of fitness coaches that I've seen. So that's quite refreshing.
I think it comes down to just how bad you kind of want it and how organized. I think I can't say the organization thing enough, because that is like, it doesn't matter if that's your fitness, your life, anything, like your business. Like, it doesn't matter if you're scheduled enough and you have like your key things down that you want to do, both the short term and long term. Like, you have a plan. And I think who says that? Is it Warren Buffett or something? He has that quote. He's like, you can, what is it? You can beat a genius without a plan, or an idiot can beat a genius with a plan or something. I don't know how it goes. I know. I remember I saw it and I was like, oh, that makes sense though. As long as you have a plan, like you're already beating the genius guy without a plan. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it is. And that's whatever goals you want to do. But that's, scheduling, organization is key. And like I said before too, like I've had clients literally be like, hey, like if they're too stressed and stuff like that, I'm like, you need to declutter some stuff. Like, I've seriously done this too. And it's like, you clean out your car, like make sure your room isn't like you got stuff everywhere, like your desk, that the office is, because like I know when stuff gets too cluttered out, I know I get like anxiety, and I'm like, oh, I gotta, like, this, it just ruins my life for some reason. I'm like a little OCD like that. So like everything in the house is where it needs to be. Like it's clean. There's no dishes anywhere. Like, because I don't know, I just can't do it. And it just ruins everything else. But that might just be my issue. But
no, we've all got these little things that we need to pay attention to, rather than just kind of ignoring and putting off as like our little quirks. Well, you know, if they're not doing too much damage and they help you feel better, then I'm kind of all for them for the most part.
Yeah, I think, that's amazing too. Really discovering yourself as well. And like, where do you perform your highest and what happened, you know, and then you can adjust that very well. Once you kind of figure out if you're doing this, then how do we kind of fix that, and figuring that on your own as well is huge to understanding yourself.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Max. I'm sure our audience really appreciated listening and hearing about kind of the steps that they can kind of incorporate into their own routine, whether it's kind of their health overall or getting their nutrition kind of just to a better place, and kind of the value that you put in organization. I think that came through loud and clear, like organization, scheduling, planning. Where can people find out more information about you and what you do?
Yeah, so you can go to my Instagram. That's the number one spot. You'll see a lot of information on there. That's going to be at Max Cathcart. I'll send you guys a link too for my little scheduling guide as well. That'll help a lot. And then you can just go to my website through the Instagram, or just maxcathcart.com. And those are the two spots.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I will include all of those links in the show notes for anybody that wants to find out more about Max or kind of interact with his scheduling guide. And thank you again, Max. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed talking about these things. I mean, I can go on forever, but no, it's really fun. Like, I really do enjoy doing this and trying to spread the word on how to improve anyone in any way. So thanks for letting me spit some words here.
And that's it for today. You've been listening to the Working From Home podcast with me, Nelson Jordan. We've been talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly side of remote work. Thanks so much for listening, and I really hope you've enjoyed the time you've spent with us today. If you'd like to discuss the podcast, you want to make a new friend, or you're interested in working with me on a copywriting or digital marketing project, then visit nelson-jordan.com. That's nelson-jordan.com, where you can also sign up to my newsletter to hear about this podcast and other exciting projects. Until next week, goodbye.